Welcome back, everybody. And for those of joining us on Big 12 Now on ESPN Plus, thank you so much. I am Missy Heidrich, and here now with our last set of coaches and student athletes from Kansas State University. 19-17 overall a year ago, 5-13 in Big 12 play. This will be Jeff Mittie's 10th season at Kansas State, 4 NCAA tournament appearances while at the helm of the Wildcats. Joining him, 3 of his student athletes: graduate student guard Gabby Gregory, redshirt senior center Ioka Lee, and junior guard Serena Sundell. Welcome to all of you here in Kansas City. Coach, first to you. A lot of speculation that this could be one of your deeper talk a little bit about just blending those new faces in your program.
With depth, you know, you have those coming back, and now you've got recruiting class coming in, added a couple in the portal. So, yeah. So I'm excited about what can possibly be for this team. I don't. They've had a good maturity about them. They're not caught up in, expectations are one thing. We've got high goals, but we're not going to get caught up in where this team has done an excellent job of being where their feet are, knowing that the hard work can lead to some good things, but knowing that we've got to put the hard work together, and we've got to put together day by day good work, and so far they've been pretty good at it.
We know everybody gets the workouts and individuals spring, summertime, but when you get into the fall and you get into these weeks, this is the real deal practice. So what has been the areas of focus for you early? What have you liked from this group and the X's and O's on the floor that you've seen?
Yeah. Offensively, I think they're learning to play together better. We want to play at a little quicker pace, not so much in the speed of the floor. We played at a quick pace last year. We want the ball to move a little sharper. We want our players to have more freedom in that, and that's going to take some time. I told them to be patient at the start of this. One, because when you have a lot of depth, getting the combinations out there and all the reps takes you longer, if you only have 5 or 6 or 7 in your rotation. So that has taken a little bit of time. I've just liked their attitude every day to come in and get better. Defensively, we need to be a tougher basketball team. We did not defend the rim very well last year. We did not guard the dribble as well as we need to. Those are 2 areas that we have to be much, much better in.
You mentioned playing with pace, and I know a year ago there was a lot of threes that were, and it was fast, and there was green lights all over the floor. But you add back in an All-American center, and that changes things. Are you looking at trying to blend types of offensive systems, or how is that going to work? Because it does change things for you a little bit.
Yeah, I think in a perfect world, we'll play at a good pace. We'll have good shot recognition in terms of what good shot, what bad shot is. We're in the process of, defining that for each player, their strength. But certainly, we're going to get the ball inside. We're going to do some things there. But we also know that Yoki attracts a lot of attention, and one of the weaknesses of us a couple years ago was that we didn't shoot the 3 very well. So we've got to have more weapons on the outside to be a better. The goal isn't for Gabby to be a great offensive player. The goal isn't for Serena, Yoki. It's about how can we be the best offensive team. And we think that these 3, and add the Glenn twins in, we think we've got a lot of weapons. We're in the process, like everybody else, of how can each player help each other play better, and how as a unit we can play well. Defensively, I think that this team over the summer made the commitment to be a better defensively. I've been really impressed with Gabby Gregory making that commitment defensively. It's an area I talked to her about in the summer. She has really improved. Serena Sundell, I think, is shutting the dribble off better than she has in her career. It'd be real easy to say, oh, we'll be a better defensive team because Yoki's coming back. But we want to be a better defensive team because every player's better, and our players are putting the work in now, and I've been impressed by that.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask them questions in just a moment. Reminder to our media friends: if you do have a question, please raise your hand. We will bring a microphone over to you. I'm going to ask these young ladies one, and I also want to give a shout out to Addie and Eli, who have been our microphone folks all day today. They have done a fantastic job. Gabby Gregory, 2023 unanimous preseason All Big 12 selection, and a 2022-23 All Big 12 first team selection after last year. It was a fantastic first season all conference performance for you at Kansas State. You led this team in scoring. You make the decision to come back this year. Not an easy one, I'm sure, but maybe it was for you. What was your motivation? What went into that? And how excited are you for this season?
Yeah, I think it was a pretty easy decision at the end of the day. Obviously, coming here out of the portal, a big reason that I wanted to come to K-State was to play with Yoki. So I'd played against her enough, and I wanted to play with her. And so for her to go down and not be able to play, that was tough. So obviously that was one of the reasons that it made an easier decision. And then also I just fell in love with this team. I fell in love with the university, the city of Manhattan, just everything about the university. It just made it the easiest decision to come back for my 5th year. So, obviously I'm excited to be out there again with Serena and finally get to play with Yoki.
Fantastic. My next one goes to Serena. A 2023 preseason All Big 12 honorable mention. She's a 2-time honorable mention selection and currently sits 12th on the K-State career assist charts, and that's just after 2 seasons. So a year ago, we stood up here and we talked about how you were kind of thrown into that point guard world. Wasn't necessarily your position coming out of high school, but you seem to have grown into it all right. Talk a little bit about being a leader on this floor, but then also what have you brought to your game? What did you focus on in the offseason to be more of a complete player?
Yeah, I think coming back into year 3, which is first 2 have gone by so fast, I have experience under my belt. I've been lucky enough to play and start a lot of games, so I'm figuring out what Coach Mittie wants. Still have work to do there, but I just want to come back and, be a leader for this team and lead the new girls that we have and finding the right shots, making the extra passes. We have a lot of people who can score the ball, but it's really what is going to be the best shot for our team. So that's just something that I'm trying to lead our team through by example and then also vocally. So I think in the off season that was one of my focuses too, is just kind of taking that next step and helping our underclassmen and newcomers kind of just learn the ropes to this program. And then another thing in the off season we've been doing is just a lot on the mental toughness side, which I think will be super helpful going into this year.
Well, looking for maybe a great shot over a good shot. And it seems as though you've got a post player coming back, Coach. And Lee, a redshirt senior, 2023 preseason All Big 12 selection, All-American awards left and right into 2022. And then we didn't see you on the floor a year ago. So my question to you, first and foremost, how are you feeling? How's it feel to be back on the floor? And what are you most excited about for this season?
Yeah, I'm feeling great. Yeah, it has been just such a blessing to be back on the floor and back on the floor with these 2 and the rest of our teammates. It's fun just to do those things with them again. I'm extremely excited to get back for the season, to be back for the season, and just to get playing with them. Like Gabby said, not being able to play with her last year sucked, but the other day in practice I was like, dude, I feel like I've played with you but we haven't played together, so I'm really excited.
That's fantastic. All right, I know we have a question right over there. Please tell us where you're from.
Zach Deloach, Manhattan Mercury. Coach, you've mentioned your depth and the need to be patient here before the season, and through the first few weeks of practice, do you feel like you have started to make some headway with determining a rotation?
Not there yet, no. I think we've seen some good things from a lot of players, which is good and bad, and not bad, but tougher to make maybe some rotation decisions. I thought we made good strides at the end of last week, And that was important because earlier in the week we weren't practicing very well. It seemed like we weren't figuring things out. Our communication offensively, players were struggling to connect with each other. I tried to tighten some things up in terms of who they were working with. So maybe we made some strides there. As I mentioned before, when you're not getting consistent reps, that's a challenge, and you do need to be patient with it. And what I will tell you is that I said it earlier. I think what's been the most impressive for me as a coach is to watch this group work through the struggles and to bring an energy at the defensive end that maybe a year ago they wouldn't have brought. They maybe would have tied that energy to their offense success. And that's been part of the maturity that Serena references, been part of the maturity that, Gabby talks about. And that's been the best thing. I think maybe the struggles of a week ago gave me more hope because I saw us have a mental toughness, a defensive toughness that a year ago we didn't have.
I think we've got another question right here in the front.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth McKnight with Akali TV. I guess this is a question for Coach and Yoki. So the coach mentioned in your comeback episode about building your confidence. How has that been for you, and has she exceeded that?
I would say that one of the things Yoki and I have is real good communication through the process with the knee. She's the boss in regards to what she can and what she can't do, and she's a veteran, so she knows her body very well. But she'll ask me something from a basketball perspective, and I'll tell her, here's what I'm seeing, and here's what I think will help. Obviously, the doctors, trainers are all involved, but at the end of the day, she knows her knee better than I do, better than the doctors do. I would say that each step of the way, whether it's been half-court contact, which she got to about a week ago, the second or third day of that, you see her confidence grow. We went to full court one trip, and you saw that grow the second day. The first day, probably looks a little tentative to me. All right? Then we got in, I'll tell a quick story. We got in a half-court defensive drill, and she's about in her third day, and I think the guy hit her, our male practice squad guy elbowed her in the chest, and she blocked it on his forehead. And then she's diving on the floor for the ball, and I'm like, we might want to wait till November for that move. But it showed the confidence that you're talking about to go do it. And every player that's been through an injury, you have to have that moment of where you get hit or you hit to go, okay, I'm okay.
Yeah, I think right off of that, I think it's grown like with every week. Coming off this specific injury, I think it definitely has been like a very intentional, very active role I have to take in like telling myself that like I can do things well and do things to a level better than what it was when I was playing 2 years ago. So I think it's been great. I think it continues to grow every week with practice, which is just, in my mind, just so exciting, to see where it'll be in a few more weeks,
We've got one more question right here.
Good afternoon, Cindy Brunson, NBC Sports Pac-12 Network. Yoki, for you, what did you learn about yourself as a player and what you can contribute to your team being forced to sit on the sideline?
It's a great question. I think as a player, my first few years at K-State, I was always being told you're the leader, you need to step into that role, we see you're hesitant, you need to step up. And I fought it probably longer than Coach Mittie wanted me to. But sitting out last year, it really made me reflect on the places where I was able to step in on the court where I couldn't do that on the sideline. There is a way that I can be supportive to my teammates, not playing, but there are ways that I just can't when I'm not on the court. So I think that was the biggest thing I learned, and honestly the biggest thing that I missed, because I saw just some gaps and my teammates just striving to fill them, but knowing that they're striving to fill them because I filled that the previous year. So that was probably the biggest thing I learned. And yeah, really excited to help them continue to fill those and just us to build our chemistry more on the court. Yeah.
Coach, one more question for you before I let you all go. This Big 12, it looks different. You know, new teams, new destinations, new travels, different systems, all of the above. And as I've asked most coaches up here today, you got to get prepared for that, and your non-con does that. So what are you looking for in that early non-con? What do you want to see out of this group in terms of maybe both ends of the floor? It sounds like there's been an emphasis on defense.
Well, we didn't win many games last year because of our defense, and we need to be a tougher defensive team. And you know, I think that we need to be able to defensively win games this year, and we need to have more ways to win games. Offensively, I want to see continued improvement of shot selection, shot recognition, continue to play well together. I think they're on the right path. I will say this. I think they're learning that the struggles now offensively will give us answers to how we can be successful. And so many times players want to, I'll make a shot, I'll feel better about my game. Better, but the maturity that they're starting to show in that the struggles are for a bigger purpose, that's what I'm the most excited about to see. And nobody likes it. But I will tell you that I do think they're learning that they come back the next day and they've learned something. And, you know, we're going to get Yoki more this week, and so that's going to be another transition into what we can learn. And, yeah, I've referenced numerous times how hard this team works. That always gets a coach excited when they have a team that comes in every day and puts forth the effort.
No, absolutely. Well, best of luck to all of you. So glad to see you back on the floor and the fact you guys get to play together. So that is wonderful. Thank you, Coach. And that is it for us today with all of our coach and student athlete panels. Thank you for joining us, and we appreciate all of your support here at the 2023 Women's Basketball Tip-Off.